are suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal? You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Before we're leaving here.
I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know.
You tell me that you're sorry, and we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the pastor and overseer over here. And I do have a couple of announcements I do want to make before we get started this morning. That this morning I just received another notice that our brother Theodore, you normally see him in the chat, and this brother, he just lost his wife as of this morning. So I asked that each and every person, to where you can even go to our Facebook, you can see him there, and you can give your condolences over there, as with our brother Matthew over in South Africa. So I want to thank each and every person that has done this, and what we did with brother Matthew, and as it goes. No one knows when the Spirit of God, you don't know from which it blows, and you think you might be out there by yourself. But when you're going with the Spirit of God, you'll never know from which the wind will blow. So we ask that you guys continue to just keep them two brothers in your prayers, because no one else. And many people, we had a sister who even lost her husband a few months prior. But no one can sit there and tell other people who has lost a wife or a husband. It don't make no common sense whatsoever to tell them they're in a better place. That's the stupidest thing that people will say, because nobody don't know the pain and the struggles that they got to face based on that to move forward on somebody that they laid their head right next to. The best thing to do is to wish them strength in the Lord as they continue to move forward within this world, and now they have to wait to get to the other side. And we come to another part where we also look here, and we want to make sure where it was clear through some of the guys that I was dealing with when we were dealing with these people. And my other announcement is dealing with the Church of Christ. Now, we do have a site that is erected specially just for them. Now, this Monday, I will be teaching based on this guy they call Dr. Jack Evans. And he was pretty much the pillar of the Church of Christ. And I have on there Dr. Jack Evans, Dr. Virus. And he has injected a virus that's going throughout this world. That makes no sense. So I will be showing you technically, I'm going to show you the framework, because as I told you people before, we have their book, what their foundation on what they believe and how they operate. I have it. I will be going through it, and I'm going to show you technically how to actually break down a doctrine, and you can see how much false doctrine even this man here pushed. I'm going to show you technically how to tear it down. I'm going to show you technically how to understand doctrine as a whole, and show you the ideologies that they use to push a false doctrine. And the same thing as I said before, once we have everything over there, we might show the first one where it might be showing in both areas. And we always open it up to them. We'll give them the 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours, whatever they need to push whatever they want to push their false doctrine. We're allowed on the platform. We won't say a word. But once they finish, I will go in there and I will tear that doctrine down, because they based on an ideology that makes absolutely no sense. And we have to deal with that. The reason why is they have taught so many people incorrectly with this false doctrine, and having many people seeking a vain salvation based on a building, based on association to a church. And they use the ideology, and now I have their book, so they based on the ideology saying that they're the only church in the book that is the Church of Christ. So we will be dealing with that. And this will we be doing on this coming Monday, and to understand where it's coming from. And we're dealing with now the blood batteries. Blood batteries. We need to really get a better understanding on this here. We're going to go in the back later, and we're going to get some more information about these blood batteries, because we need to understand basically where this is coming from. And when we understand these blood batteries, I want you to personally understand one thing. I want you to understand one good thing here, and to share some information where I've done some research and found out some information about a child that was there. This one child was there. He lives over in the Congo, and his name was Paul. This child was 6, at the age of 6 years old, when he should have been playing with toys, but he was equipped with a shovel. And he's 6 years old. And you have people where this child worked in the mines, and they looking for this thing where people talk about and what people look like and what people go after. And these people who worked in the mines, they working in the mines over in the Congo, but they actually doing work for Apple, Elon Musk with Tesla, Audi, Ford, and many others. We're going to go into this. In the business that they look for, in the business that is being pushed, is cobalt. This 6-year-old baby, it's no other way to see it. It's a 6-year-old baby. Sometime he'll earn 2 pounds a day. Sometimes that's what he earned. And Paul, he worked according to what was going on in these mines. But I want you to understand something about this 6-year-old child. A 6-year-old child. Many people who have 6-year-old children, some people have grandchildren that is only 6 years old. And you can understand their mindset. You can understand where they're coming from. You can understand each and everything what's going on with them is as a kid. They thinking as a kid. But I want you to understand something. With these kids working in these mines, we have the man over there, one of the founders over there, and he's one of these South African billionaires. Now has a net worth of more than $58 billion, surpassing Warren Buffett. Elon Musk is only looking at the bottom line. But I want you to understand these children here. 6. See, I want you to keep that that number in your mind on what you're dealing with, because once we start going in some things, we gotta make sure we ain't sitting in the glass house ourselves. See, we gotta refine what's going on with these companies. See, including the same ones I said, and you hear me push because I use a lot of the equipment as in Apple, but you got Microsoft. These allegations and aiding and abetting the deaths and things that's going on in these mines, because one, you have these children working in these mines and we're not doing anything about it technically, because all we want is our stuff. That's all we want is our stuff. See, despite their country and they minerally wealthy, see, these Congolese people, I want you to understand one of the reasons they out there. They some of the poorest people in the world who's living on $800 a year. I want you to understand that. People saying what this has to do with the Bible. Well, I'm going to say, oh, don't worry about that. We're going to dig deep into that part. But remember Paul, 6. And you have 80 children a year. 80 children a year die in those mines. Being statistics. Paul fell to that number this year. Little 6-year-old Paul fell to that number. He's now part of the statistics. He's part of the 80 that's going to be made up this year. Climbing in and out of mines, and basically what cobalt help you and help these companies build batteries. And these kids, they have their parents and what everybody's doing, they going in there, they having their children going in there, 6 years old, going in these mines, and what they doing, these batteries just energy. Parents is pushing and producing the income and looking for a 6-year-old kid. And the problem we have is you have rich and you have poor. The rich are going to get rich. You already know it's the thing saying on the poor. Billions of dollars is being transferred from one person to another based on this here. based on the exploitation of a people, based on the exploitation of knowledge, based on exploitation on knowing what's the truth and what not the truth. This is what we got to go through. This also, what most people might say, he might sound a little bit angry, and you should understand the reason why. Because this is stupidity. This is ignorance that's going on. Not just that, but it's what we do. It's what we're doing. And we want to stay here, and I want to take you to somewhere to understand what's going on and where it came from, because many people are going to keep putting it on somebody else. This is the ignorance. The ignorance that goes on through Israel. This is why I have a problem. This is where we sit there, and the first thing we want to do, we want to sit there and point fingers at everybody else. Not look at ourselves. I'm going to pick this up, and I want to take you to something. I want to show you something to where we don't know where we're going unless we know where we came from. This is silliness that we have gotten into. 6-year-old kid. And I want you to understand something. The same thing, I want to show you something with the Egyptians. And with the Egyptians that's in Egypt, and see, with this, I want you to clearly get this. Clearly get this. Egyptians wanted to build treasure cities, but they couldn't do it. So these Egyptians, they needed some people to build it for them. So the Egyptians used the wisdom of Egyptians, including they needed a way to where they can achieve this gold here. So what they did, they placed their burdens on Israel to build these cities. And then they're going to do something with the people, but then they need to put some people over, and they only want to compensate the less people as possible. The same you just seen. I just showed you what they're doing in the mines. Let me show you something, and we're gonna dig into this. I want to show you something, what happened, to where we can get around it. We're gonna go to Exodus chapter 1, but I want to take you, we're gonna first go to verse 8. We're gonna go there. Exodus chapter 1, verse 8, we're gonna start tearing it down. In the scriptures, going to read this. It says, now there rose up a king over Egypt, over bondage, which knew not Joseph. This king don't know Joseph. Don't know the things Joseph did and what he has done to save many, many people, including them. And he said, that king, and he said, his people, he says, remember, the people of the children of Israel are more, there's more of them, and mightier than we. So if we go in there, we try to do something to them, it's more of them, and they're mightier than us. We got to work this out another way. It's like if we go in there, it's like we going in there to a massacre, because all we'll do is go in there and we will be massacred if we go in there to try to mess with these people, and there's more of them and they mightier than us. Yeah, do us in. So this king, he said this. He says, come on, let us deal wisely with them. Here's our problem right here. That's your key right there. This is where we messed up right there, because we let me go on because I'm trying to stay calm and be cool about it. It says, lest they multiply, added, and come to pass when they falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. And so get them up out of the land. I'm telling you. They're gonna deal wisely with us. They're gonna deal wisely with us. So the first thing they need to make sure they're gonna do, and what we're gonna start finding out is they're gonna start working some manipulation, and I gotta show you how they're doing it. Because most of us not gonna think about they doing manipulation, but that's what they doing, is they gotta manipulate us. They're gonna manipulate you. And the best way to do that is dealing wisely with somebody through that manipulation. And what that manipulation does is causes an imbalance of power. I got more wisdom than you got, and that gives me an advantage over you. Even though you're more in number, it don't matter. If I'm got more wisdom than you do, I got an advantage over you. Now you get the point. And the target victim, and once they have this imbalance in power based on knowledge, now Israel becomes a victim. And you can control, you can benefit, or the privileges, and at all the expense of the victim. I want you to get this. We gonna get this today. So what's the advantage? Manipulation. Manipulation, I got more wisdom than you have. And with that wisdom, even though it's worldly, I can manipulate you, so I don't care. It can be 1,000,000 of you guys. But I'm sharper than you guys. So I can manipulate you. And how I'm a manipulator? The manipulation is a carnal strategy. Individual control over this person, over the situation, and what they want to do is express the things in a direct manner. So these people are going to be manipulated. In the way you can do it, you can be extremely nice, you can be pushy, or you can be emotionally abusive if you need to. When you're dealing and you manipulating someone. So to do this, they were placing in what they did, and just like I tell a lot of people, we need to personally go through and study the book. Because what happened here, he put Israel over Israel. I'm telling you. Let's pull some more here. Pull some more information. Let's go down to verse 11. So the problem is, it says, for that reason did they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. But they had these taskmasters to show you the ignorance that's went out through Israel and went out through the world. Soon as people see taskmasters, the first silliest thing we think about is what? Oh, that's the Egyptian. That shows you how foolish we are, and we'll listen to anything anybody got to say. And taskmaster don't mean nothing but an overseer, chief of burdens. That's what a taskmaster actually means. So they said somebody, or they said an overseer, or the chief of the burdens to afflict you. To afflict you and I. To afflict our forefathers. To do these things to us. But let's look at what's going on. I want to make sure we get this all together and see what's happening. Now, we're going to go over to Exodus chapter 5, and we're going to look at, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. But in Exodus chapter 5, verse 13, let's get all this together. We got to go, and we're going to get all our eggs, and we're going to put them in the basket. We're going to go get some milk. We're going to go get some different things. We're going to put them all together and look at what's going on here and figure out what happened. It says, and the taskmasters hasted them, saying, fulfill your work, your daily task, as when there was straw, as comparing when it was some straw there. I'm showing you the stupidity stupidity that we go through. And it angers. It angers. We sitting there thinking something was already there. As when there was straw. Somebody gonna get it in a minute. Somebody gonna get it in. Was straw there. Was. But I want to show you something. I want to show you something in verse 14. I want to show you something. I want to make sure we clear here. I want to make sure we really clear here. It says, including the officers of the children of Israel. Now you got officers, meaning taskmasters. So now you got them, and you're going to see it going to clear it all up for you. It says, in the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmaster has set over them. So who do you think was out there doing these people like that? Oh no, that was the Egyptian. Okay. All right. Boo-boo the fool. We all been boo-boo the fool looking at the 10 Commandments. Yeah, we think it's them. No. It says the officers of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten. So they beat them because we wasn't doing what we were supposed to do. So they punished them. It says, beaten and demanded, wherefore have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick, both yesterday and today and heretofore? I need y'all to put in some work. Y'all supposed to be putting in some work. And what they was doing, they was beating the dudes who they put over us. As we in the field, they not doing in the field what they supposed to do. So they done set some Israelites over those people, and then they got those people and they beat them. But it gets better. Oh, it gets better. Then the officers, see, they just calling them officers, but those are our taskmasters. Those are the ones that's hooking us up. Those are Israelites. But you going to try to put it, oh no, those are Egypt. You telling you right there. It says, then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried unto Pharaoh. So now they go to Pharaoh and saying, wherefore dealest with thou thus with thy servant? We y'all servants, why in the hell you beating on us? Why you beating on us? But it's an answer to that. It's an answer to this. It says, there's no straw given unto thy servants. Y'all ain't gave us no straw. And they say unto us, make brick. How we gonna make brick and they talking about make brick and we ain't got no straw? Remember that servants are beaten. Y'all beating us. But the fault is in thy own people. It's not even our fault we don't have straw. He's telling them right there. And you beating us. Now you get the point. Now you get the point. But it gets better. Oh, it gets better. I'm telling you, it gets way better. But he said, are ye idle? Are ye idle? You see, he's saying it. Are ye idle? For that reason, ye say, let us go and do sacrifice unto the Spirit of God. So they done got mad. I tell you what we gonna do. We just gonna go sacrifice unto the Spirit of God. We gonna go make a covenant with him. Cause we ain't getting hooked up. We getting beat dealing with you. So we're gonna go on back and we're gonna go sacrifice unto the Spirit of God. This is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. And you see here, it says, now he says, go therefore now and work. For there shall no straw be given you, yet shall ye deliver the tale of brick. So you gonna deliver the same tale, the same number of brick that we don't have no straw. You need to go find straw. You better go find some straw. We still need the same number of brick. But people sitting there thinking you out there, you working, they just working you like a slave. No, that's us. Because we got a couple of people where they done made deals with. Now it's sounding familiar, ain't it? Well, it ain't got to it yet, but it's starting to sound familiar. Here you go. Let's go a little bit more. Verse 19, it says, in the officers of the children of Israel, you're going to remove the officers, put in the taskmasters of the children of Israel. That's where you can say it. Because they was beating us. It says, did see they were in evil case. They see they were set up. It's telling you right there. Did see they were set up in evil case after it was said. After what was said? We need the same number of bricks. I know y'all ain't got no straw. I know there ain't no straw. But I still need the same number of bricks. What do straw got to do? That number better not diminish. Actually, he said it right there. He said, and ye shall not diminish out from your bricks of your daily tasks. Excuse me. So this number better not change. You better go. I don't care if you got to go to New York City. Even though it wasn't back then, you go wherever you got it. We need our same tally of brick. I don't care where you got to get it from. Go get it. And get your people to get to making. So now we see a couple of problems happen. One, they set some of our own people over our people because we were more and mightier. So who's better to control your own people? Your people. That's why why you think they had Martin Luther King over you? I'm telling you. Let me keep some of the comments to myself. Keep them to myself. But now let's look at it a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more here. Let's go down. We're going to drop down to verse 21. And we need to see what that says. It says, and they said unto them, the Spirit of God looked upon you and judged, because ye have made our Savior to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh. Oh, really? Oh, wait a minute. He promised me a Bugatti, and once I didn't get the Bugatti, now I want to go do the Spirit of God, but I done made the Spirit of God look to be hated in the eyes of Pharaoh. I done made him look like a fool in the eyes of Pharaoh. God can't get me no Bugatti, and I want a Bugatti. I'm telling you. But it gets better. Oh, it gets better. And Moses returned unto the Spirit of God and said, Lord, Creator, wherefore hast thou so evil entreated this people? Lord, these people, why are you letting this happen? Because entreated is talking about favored. And he said, hast thou so evil favored this people, is what he's saying. Meaning he letting all this evil go down on them. Why is this happening? Same thing like I said. You can see gangbangers can be the fewest in number, and they'll shut down an entire block or blocks, and y'all won't say a word. They dare you. And you'll be quiet. They dare you. They kill your children. They dare you to say something to the cops. They dare you to say something to a cop. First thing, I don't know what happened. I don't even see nothing. Same thing here in Moses going back. Lord, why you let evil favor these people? Why is it that thou hast sent me? What you send me for? What I'm going to tell these people? What I'm going to tell these people? But it gets better. It keeps going more. It says, for since I came to Pharaoh to speak in thy way, he have done evil to this people. Neither hast thou delivered thy people at all. Every time I go talk to him, he put his boys on them. And it's our people. So my thing is to remember this. Remember Paul? I told you about Paul, that kid. He's 6. He's 6. He died working in the mines. And just to give you a little bit more information on this kid. He died working in the mines 10, 12 hours a day. How in the world he working 10, 12 hours a day and he's 6? Six. And the first thing we try to do is point a finger on the Egyptian. Is the Egyptians doing it? No, it ain't you doing it. Egyptians then sat there, but the Israelite who knows the custom, the truth, and the ways, once they don't get what they want, I'm going back. I'm going to go worship the Spirit of God. No, we got a deal. And to show you even more so, they didn't learn there. We're going to look at First Maccabees and we're going to go to 1 and 34, 1 and 43. In First Maccabees, when you see here, and it tells you in verse 42, it says, and everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. But you want to understand what it's saying in verse 43. It says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed, and they made covenants with that unto idols. What? Yeah, I want a Bugatti. What I need to do to get the Bugatti? I made a covenant unto idols. Okay, I do that, you give me this. You do that, and I do this. Oh, you gonna give me that? Okay, I'm gonna do this. You gonna give me a what? You gonna give me a gold necklace? A watch? Oh, okay. That's my idol. Okay. You do that, I'm gonna do this. And even we'll profane the Sabbath. We ain't got no problem doing that. You ain't saying nothing but a word. You ain't saying nothing but a word. Why? Because you looking at something that ain't there. You looking at temporal things. Temporal things. Many Israelites consented to idle things which is temporary. Made covenants and gold earrings and silly things. Those things was seen and those things you trust in. These things, you cannot take it into the kingdom. You can't take it into the kingdom, but why you do it? So he had to sit there and God had to sit there and he letting Moses see this because Moses, he spoke to mouth, even apparently, but he showed him even the similitudes and he letting Moses see it. That's why Moses, man, why are you letting all this evil go down on these people? Guys, I'm showing something. I got to show you something. I'm showing you what they're about. So we have to learn how to build our faith. Same as that kid. Same as a kid. So we need to do some faith building to get into this understanding. we got to do some faith building. And I'm going to show you the framework and the understanding on how we can do these things. I got to show you how we can do these things to where we can all walk together. Because right now, we looking at everything but the right thing. Children working for the hope of $1. They can see it. $1. And they even ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. $1. What is the proposal of salvation in $1? What's the purpose of $1? What is the purpose of $1 being earned by a child? What's the hope? In the next day, you got to go earn another $1. Your risk is the dangers of come to the dollar. So what if you come up to the need, because the need just going to keep going. And now the need might come up to $10. The need might come up to $10. Then what you going to do? Because you can see the $10. You can see it. I can see the Bugatti. I can see it. So we sitting there, we looking at the $1. The kid looking at the $1 because all the hope, all the salvation is in the $1. That's craziness. So we got to build our faith because our faith is gone. Our faith is shot. Our faith ain't there. We wasting our time on faith because we don't know what faith is. And it tells us clearly in Romans chapter 8 and verse 24, it tells us clearly here, it says, for we are saved by hope. But hope that is seen is not hope. That $1 was seen, it's going to just make you go do it another day. You need another fix. The same thing people shoot up in their arms, the dope and all this stuff, and they got to sit there to get that same feeling, that same gratification that they was getting the first time. They got to do the same thing again tomorrow. That's not hope. That's not joy. They're getting the joy of getting drunk. They got the joy of getting high. If you want that same high and that same drunk, guess what? You got to have that same hope. You got to use that same thing tomorrow. The same identical thing. Well, I got this feeling. I got this good feeling in my body. And I want to get it again. You got to do that same thing again. So that's not hope. And it's telling you, for a man seeth, why do he hope for it? Why? You shouldn't have to hope for it. Just go do it. Just do it. If you're saved by the things of hope that you see, why in the world are we hoping for those things? Why? This is our biggest problem we have. We see somebody have, oh, I want that. I want that. Yeah, I want to get that. Yeah, oh yeah, I want to get me one of those. In 2 Corinthians, and we're looking at chapter 4, but we're going to see where it's recorded in verse 18, and it says, while we look not on the things which are seen. Why are you looking on the $1? Why are you looking on the $1? But the things which is not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal. You're going to get the $1 and you're going to temporarily have it. You're going to get the $10, you're going to temporarily have it. Somebody get me that Bugatti, I'm going to temporarily have it. Somebody say, well, I buy that man that Bugatti. And the same, when I take it to the shop and get it serviced, they say, well, the service, just to have it service, change the oil and all this costs $5,000. Okay. Me and my brother D, we gotta see how to change this oil. I'm gonna call him up. Hey D, hey man, I don't know what's going on, bro. Hey man, we need to change this oil. We need to work together. Well, I know we used to work on cars when we was younger. We might need Gary and my beloved youngest brother is passed. We need, but we got to change this oil, bro. At $5,000? No. I got to do something else on this. $5,000 ain't, no. And even to show you how true it is, how true that is, I have another friend. True story. He, wealthy guy. And he was driving around in a Lamborghini. And this is back in the 90s. And with that Lamborghini, he had to go get it serviced one day. They wanted $2,300 to change the oil. His friend was a boat servicer. He serviced boats. And the reason why, and I couldn't add it up until he actually told me. And he called his friend who owns a boat mechanic shop. Like, boy, I don't know why you getting him, because I don't get it. He said, man, I ain't finna pay for that $2,300. I ain't paying it. So his friend came over, and come to find out, and that's why I learned, that he couldn't change the oil because they had to siphon the oil out of the car. So the same thing when someone dealing with a boat, when they change the oil in the boat motor of a boat, even though most boats got American motors in them, they have to siphon the oil out of the motor. And that's what he did. So he came over, and I'm sitting there with him, and they siphoning it out. And I'm sitting there like, man, you learn something new every day. I say, man, now he in a $2 million+ house. All kinds of expensive cars. And we outside sitting out there siphoning oil out of a car over $2,300. You think about that. You think about that. When he'll spend that at the drop of a hat. But he didn't want to pay that. But still, you got to still remember, those things are temporal, but the things which are not seen is eternal. He's trying to save that $10 for what? To do what? $1 is temporal. It's going to come and it's going to go. And when you see this 6-year-old child, he's trying to please his mother, trying to please his father, and he's going out there. I don't even get a 6-year-old kid going to work. Actually, I'm going to show you. I want to show you something. I wasn't going to even use it, but I need to show you something. I want to show you the difference between something. I want to show you. Let me show you a parable. Let me go here real quick. I want to go somewhere. We're going to look this in Mark, chapter 6 and verse 38. Verse 38. And I was going to do something, but I want to just run here for this reason. And I want to show you something. I want to show you this for a reason, and to where we can get the understanding here. But I want to show you a parable the way we're going to get it. And it says, and he said unto them, how many loaves have ye? Go and see. Including when they knew, they say 5 and 2 fishes. We got 5 loaves, and we have 2 fishes. We got 5 loaves, 2 fishes, 12 of us, 13 counting you, and we got 2 fishes. But the problem is, we got to see what's going to happen. Now, the thing you got to remember is what we got to do. Remember what the key is: faith building. So I want you to write that down in your book and put that down on the side of your note and say, I'm doing faith building. And I want to show you how with this parable, we're going to understand faith building. That's what we want to do. We want to understand faith building. But the way we doing it right now, we can't enjoy nothing. Nothing. And actually, let me go over here and I want to show you more so what happens here when we look at that. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we'll pick this up at verse 41. And find out the same thing what we're doing with children. In 41, it tells us clearly. It says, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And they go into captivity for stuff that you want, stuff that I want. So we can't enjoy them. We can't enjoy them. They're going in captivity for things we want. And the main thing we got to remember is this. These things that we seek in the temporal, the same as batteries. They're temporal. They have a short lifespan. Some will work for a few hours. Some will work for a couple of days. Some going to work for a couple of years. It depends on what it is powering. But every battery comes to an end. As with our sons and daughters, they're going to come to an end doing these things. So Yahushua, he got to build some faith. He got to build faith with this here. And we're going to build a faith using this here. So he did this. And I'm going to share some things with you I don't normally share, but I want to make sure we get this. We got to get this to where we can walk together. And it tells us in verse 39, it says, and he commanded them, who he commanded his disciples, he says, make them sit down by companies. Make them sit down by companies upon the green grass. So I'm going to share these things with you based on what I do. In these companies, and when you look at Paleo Hebrew, that's just telling you by fellowship or sex. So he wants them to sit down by fellowship, by the way that they fellowship. He's making sure you're clear here because he's going to show you something here. So we understand now that companies is talking about fellowship because they're going to hang out with one another. But he says a little bit more. We're going to go down to verse 40. He said, and they sat down in ranks. So now they sitting in ranks. We need to understand what ranks is to where we can all be together. Ranks is talking about a belief. Belief in their ways. So now we know that they sitting down by their fellowship and they sitting down by their beliefs. That's what he's telling them right there. You do them right here. You do them this way. Set them down by this way. In companies, by fellowship and sex that they hold to. And then also, I want you to sit them down by ranks, by what they believe. In these verses is unseen these 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, and we're about to feed 5,000 people. We're going to feed 5,000 people, and we're going to do it this way. But it gets better. It gets better. We're going to go down to verse 41. It says, and they had taken 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he looked up to heaven. We got to stay on the same thing. And I want to show you what that means. And actually, we're going to read it out. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you some things because I want all of us to be on the same page as we move forward. And he said, and blessed and break the loaves and gave it to his disciples and set before them. And the 2 fishes divided he among them all. Now, what happened here is showing you what went on. So I want to show you when he said, and he looked. We want to know what that looked mean. He considered and esteemed up to heaven. That's what he did right there. That's all that's saying. He looked. And that mean he looked. That mean he considered and esteemed heaven. And when you see that, he blessed. He gave thanks. See, wisdom can be given, but you can also give thanks and bless. And now he gave that, and he also gave to his disciples, meaning followers before him. That's all they're saying. So now we know he considered and esteemed up to heaven. telling us right clear as day. And gave thanks and break the loaves. Now we got to figure out what that is. We got to figure out what that is also. We got to see what everything is here. In those loaves, we're going to see in 1 second. I'm going to share what that was. I'm going to share it with you as we go down. I'm going to make sure we understand what's going on. But I'm going to share with you what those loaves are. And we see verse 42. It says, and they did eat. And everybody, we run it into the ground. When you eat, you learn. And they all did learn and were filled. Now, if some of y'all sitting there thinking, now y'all, it's 12 of us. We got 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And I'm getting my little cut. You getting your little cut. Johnny getting his little cut. Philip getting his cut. Everybody getting their cut. And I got a piece of bread and a piece of a fish. Now I want you to think about this. See, this is why I say sometimes it makes me laugh. But then when you deal with Christians, they think of stupidity. But it says, and they all did learn and were filled. Who in the world gonna get filled on a piece of a fish and a piece of a bread? I know some of y'all saying that shit. They ain't gonna do nothing. All they're gonna do is make me mad. Yeah, cause he ain't feeding your flesh. That's what the point. That was the whole point. And people be sitting there like they always feel, but people think that when he put it up to heaven, that he started letting down all these fish coming down and all this bread coming down to feed everybody. I'm telling you, it's funny. You can't help it, we all was boo-boo. And when I say boo-boo, we boo-boo the fool. We all did boo-boo. But how we gonna be filled and you sitting there, I tell you what, you got a piece of a bread, and let's just say it's a 4-inch by 4-inch square, and you got one little piece of a fish. And all you know it's going to do is make you mad. But it says here, you will feel. You will feel. And I'll be mad as hot as a firecracker. But that's what he's saying. We're going to go down to verse 43. And we're going to find out what those loaves was. And we'll say, he said, and they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments, including the fishes. I'm telling you, when you slow down, you catch it. When you read past, they sitting there, oh man, I can't understand. This is going through here and going through and understanding what's happening. This is what's going on and this is what's happening here. This is what we need to see. This is what we need to understand. This is why we need to clearly get what's happening here today. So we know those 12 baskets, it says he took them up and he took up fragments. Didn't say crumbs. It said fragments. And the fishes. Meaning the bones and stuff like that. I want you to think about this. See, I want to show you how crazy we thought. Not just me, many of you also. So as we sitting there, we thinking about it, we sitting there like, man, they got us. Yeah, they got us, but now we know better, we do better. So don't dwell on that. Don't dwell on those kind of things. So as they were filled, they picked up fragments. Fragments is just stuff just on the ground. I'm telling you, fragments. Just stuff on the ground. They filled up 12 baskets just of stuff in the bones, in the heads. It was only 2 heads, so only 2 of them got that. So the fragments. And it went on better, and we get down to verse 44. We got to see what verse 44 is saying to understand what's happening here. It says, and they did eat, they did learn of the loaves were about 5,000. Excuse me. So we need to know what those loaves is. Those loaves, excuse me, those loaves is gospels and doctrines. So it's the message and the doctrines of truth. So they learned of that. So they did learn of the messages and the doctrines were about 5,000 men. People sitting there like, what? I thought all that stuff was coming down. No. Let's get some more clarity. We're going to go over here to Matthew and get some better clarity here. Matthew chapter 16, and we'll pick it up at verse 9. Because he's going to make sure you're clear here. We're going to make sure we're clear before we move forward. It says, did ye not understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets ye took up? We didn't remember this. Did you remember this? Showing you how much we ain't going through scripture. We'll look at Deuteronomy chapter 32, and I'm gonna come back over there. But we're gonna come over here real quick. 32 and verse 2. He tells you this right here. Why you think he held it up to heaven? It says, my doctrine shall drop as rain, my speech shall distill as dew, comparing the small rain upon the tender herb, and comparing the showers upon the grass. Nobody got that. None of us didn't get that. Let's go a little bit deeper before we go back over there. We got to go a little bit deeper. We have to go deeper. We're going to look at this over in Matthew chapter 15 and showing you the difference between fragments and crumbs. Fragments and crumbs. And you'll see this woman, she did this, and he tells you in 15:24, because they wanted to send her away. But he said, I am not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But then the lady sitting there saying, she came and she worshiped. Verse 25. Him saying, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. And he told her. But he answered and said, it is not to take meat. It is not meat to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. I ain't gonna cast this stuff to no dog. I'm not gonna cast this to dogs. But he got better. Oh, he got better. And she said, truth. Lord, yet dogs eat the crumbs, not fragments, crumbs, which falleth from their master's tables. We're going to eat the crumbs. But when they gathered up all the stuff, the fragments up on the ground, he wanted you to get understood what that was meaning on what he wanted you to see. He wanted you to understand something clearly here to where we can get it. And to get it, we'll find that, and it's parked away right here in Genesis chapter 4, verse 3. It says, in the process of time came to pass that Cain brought fruit, works of the ground, an offering unto the Spirit of God. Fragments. Just picking up anything. Anything. fragments that he done got up off the ground and going to bring them to the Lord. So we have to understand what was happening there and get the information that we was doing. So when we understand everything that goes on, when he's trying to show us something, he's giving us a clear similitude on what's happening. We just have to put the pieces together to get it. In John chapter 6 and verse 32, Yahweh Shai said this. Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. He's giving you the true bread from heaven. Because he want to see what you're going to do with that bread. He want to understand what you're going to do with that bread. He going to make you do your own self in. Because the Spirit of God, he knows what we're about. And he tells us this in Exodus chapter 16, verse 4. When he was talking to Moses, he says, remember, I will rain bread from heaven for you. I'm going to rain some that's going to be of flesh, that's temporary, and I'm going to rain some knowledge down. They better understand the difference between the two. But he said more. And the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. That's what he's trying to do. You got fragments on the ground that is gathered up, and you got bread coming from heaven. So when you see this over here, and it's telling you right here in verse 10 in Matthew 16:10, it says, neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000. And how many baskets took up? You took up fragments. But he tells you what is going on. See, and when you see this, he's going to tell you what it is. He tells you what it is right here. He said, how is it that you don't understand that I spake is not concerning bread? How in the world, Michael, you ain't understood I was not talking about bread? You got a book in your hand and you sitting there, you done read this 4 million times and you didn't understand this, and you letting Dr. Seuss telling you some craziness and you listening to it. And they ain't talking about nothing concerning bread. He said that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. What you been talking? Why you think they grabbed the fragments off the ground? In leaven is lies, strong drink, vinegar. We done put these things up on Moloch, that same dollar we were doing. The same dollar. And see, we let this mighty thing happen. We let this spirit come by and take us any which way possible. Any which way. I got the Lord in me. Really? You got the Lord in what? In what? What do you have it in? In a bottle? In Revelation chapter 6 and verse 13, it says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she was shaken of a mighty wind. We done got caught up. We done got caught up. See, what I want you to understand is this. We will sit there and we have done these things. We done these things, even as ourselves. We have allowed and pushed our children, casting our untimely stupidness, our silliness, over to something that makes no sense. In the same as what they doing over to them children over there in Africa, you got parents who are allowing that to happen. Parents allowing that to happen, 6 years old. Because they want that dollar. But people sitting there, that show is bad, that show is bad. Okay, what about you? What about you? See, we push the same thing, but we think we're doing it more dignified. And it's still the same ignorance. Because the same thing, if you sitting there and you pushing your child and running them and doing all this stuff to play basketball. Let me put a ball in his hand at 3. He gonna be a big star. Football, baseball, golf. Hoping later he get fame and fortune. And you gonna tell me that's no different than putting that child out there in cobalt to go in those mines? You gonna tell me that? Is that what you telling me? You doing the same identical thing. Child didn't know nothing about it, but now all of a sudden now this child had a shovel, you done put a ball in his hand, and then sitting there, and he gonna do this. He gonna do this dang thing. Besides letting him, hey, this is what I want to do for right now. This is what I want to do. No, you can't do it that way. You gonna put it on him. No, he gonna do this. He gonna do this dang thing. And as it keeps saying, I want you to come back and I want you to look at this. In Romans chapter 8, verse 24, we were just there. Just there. And it telling you again, it says, for we are saved by hope. But we want that dollar. We want that dollar. We want our children a certain way. And it says, for hope that is seen is not hope. Well, we can't do the Sabbath because my child got practice or he got a game on Saturday, so we got to take care of that. God understands it. God get it. Really. Oh, God get it. Really. He got a football game on Saturdays. God understands it. My child down there working in that mine for that dollar. But we need to earn that dollar. Well, I know we get it. We're sitting there talking about the people over there, and now all of a sudden it hit us. Now all of a sudden it hit us. So we need to do a couple of things. I want to show you the similitude between the same thing. What we're going to understand here is the similitude between building faith. The similitude between building faith. Because most of us don't know the similitude of building the faith. And we need to understand how to do it. We need to understand how to build faith. How to build it. Because if you hope that is seen is not hope. Hope that is seen is not hope. So let's look at this. Let's go down through here a little bit. We're going to pick this up at Exodus chapter 4. And we're going to start at verse 1. And Moses answered and said, but remember, they will not believe me nor hearken unto my voice. Lord, how can I tell them something? They're not going to believe me. They not going to even hearken to my voice. For they shall say, the Spirit of God hath not appeared unto thee. Moses didn't think this plan of God going to these people. He don't think it's going to work. He don't see it working. Nowhere. Nowhere he see this working. So he talked, and I know the Most High probably laughed so much behind this sitting there, but he had to show him what was going on. So as Moses, he didn't think this plan was going to work. So I'm going to show you something where we can get this all together. I need to show you where it's spawned from. So we're going to go back to 3, and we're going to look at verse 16. I want to show you where it's spawned from. Why he's saying this over there in chapter 4. He said this here, starting in verse 16. And the Spirit of God told him, he says, go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, I want you to tell them something. The Spirit of God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And this is what he wanted him to tell him. He said, now I want you to go tell him this. This is what you go tell him. In verse 17, it says, it goes on more. And he tells us, let me highlight that. He says, and I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto a land of the Canaanites, including the Hittites, including the Amorites, including the Perizzites, including the Hivites, including the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. That's what I said I was going to do. Now, Moses over there talking. I just want to show you where it comes from. And I want to keep these things always in your mind. We're going to put this in there again. We're going to go back to Romans 8 and verse 24. I want you to keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. For we are saved by hope. For hope that is seen is not hope. For what is a man seeth, why do hope for it? I want you to keep that in mind. So if you can see it, there's no reason to hope for it. So you got to listen to the voice. In fact, to even drill down more into it, we're going to hold into Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I want you to keep all this in mind as we moving forward. Because all he telling Moses to do, Moses, go tell them people this. I want you to go tell them something. And Moses said, man, I don't think they're going to listen. I'm going to tell you. And each and every one of us would have been on the same boat. We're going to move down. We're going to go down to verse 2. And he said unto him, what is in thy hand? And Moses said, a rod. What's in your hand? A rod. And I'm just going to use who's saying what. And the Spirit of God said, cast it on the ground. Cast it. Go and throw it on the ground. And he cast it. Moses cast it on the ground. And it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And yeah, I would have shot out like a bullet myself. I would have got up out of there. So I get it. That I get. I get 100% that. But the thing is, we want to understand what he's talking about. We want to understand this building of faith on what he's talking about. And the Spirit of God said unto Moses, put forth thy hand and take it by the tail. Now we probably would have been up there for a couple of hours. But I'm just telling you, because I would have been there for a minute. He said, take it by the tail And he put forth his hand and caught it, and he became a rod in his hand. It's building his faith. And I want to make sure we clearly get something. What this rod mean, even foundationally. See, a rod foundationally, even some spiritually, is a rod is a scepter. It's a symbol of authority and power. That's what a rod is. So I want you to understand that's what that's talking about. In the serpent, he used the serpent for a particular reason. The serpent had to be used. The reason the serpent had to be used, he wanted Moses to understand exactly what's going on, because you see this here when you look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Spirit of God had made. And he said unto the woman, have God said, ye shall not eat of every elder of the garden? You shouldn't learn of every garden, every elder in the garden? You shouldn't do this? Yeah, you following the point? Because you're going to see some men going to come up. You're going to see some have gray hair. You're going to see some that's older. You're going to see some that have years on them. Same as we're doing with the churches of Christ. You're going to have some they're going to say they've been preaching this long and that long. And the same thing is what the serpent is doing right here. He's saying, have God said, ye shall not learn of every elder of the garden? That's what he's telling you right here. He's telling you that right out of his own mouth. Who? The serpent, the deceiver. Serpent is a double-tongued liar. He's a straight-out double-tongued liar, and he's telling you right up front. Shouldn't you learn that, all of us? And you make up your own mind. You'll make up your own mind. But the same thing is that scepter, that symbol of authority and power, is in your hand. We got to keep that in mind. That's why he told Moses, cast that on the ground. You put it on the ground, it's a serpent. You put it under your power, under your authority. Some of you, I don't get it. Okay, don't worry. We'll get it. We gonna get it. In fact, we want to make sure we're getting some of this. Let's go over here to Genesis and look at this a little bit closer. Genesis chapter 49, but I want to take you to verse. Let's go to verse 10. The reason I want to go to verse 10, then we're going to back up some. We're going to go back up a little bit. But I want to go to verse 10 for a reason. Because it got this scepter there also. Because the scepter is a rod. And it says, and the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from before his feet, his desires, until Shiloh come to who right it is comes. You see how all this makes sense? Everything just making sense, just flowing easily into making sense when you're not falling into this silliness that people will lie to you about. Because when you see this, that this power and authority shall not depart from Judah, from the praise. Because that's all Judah is. That's all Judah means, praise. And it's telling you right there, nor a lawgiver. And saying praise is confessions. So it says should not depart from the praise and confessions, nor a lawgiver. Bring a little bit more so the goats can get it. So when we look at this scepter, this power and authority should not depart from your praise and confessions, nor a lawgiver. But we need to know something. We need to know something. We got to figure out something here, because we got to keep running to this lawgiver. We're going to share what that is. It says, until Shiloh come, to who right it is shall come and gather his people. Gather be to his people. And let's go a little bit more. Let's go over here to 45. I want to go pull some more information. Then we're going to get some other information. Because I want to show you something here. And because we know Judah, so on that, Judah pulled you, but most people thinking everything has to run directly through Judah. And not knowing what it meant. Are you following? You see how these dumb camps do? They sitting there, oh, if you from the United States, you're Judah. We're Judah. Some of the dumbest people walking the face of this earth is in camps. Is in camps. Whatever country you're from, then that's what tribe you from. So as the men putting you on ships, they asking you, excuse me, how you doing today? I'm a slave now. What tribe you from? I'm from Benjamin. Oh well, I'm so sorry. Benjamin left. So if you come back on Tuesday, we can take you on Tuesday and just look for the boat. It has a weird name on it, but just ask the shipmaster and he'll tell you it's for Benjamin and you get on that boat. But you can't get on this one right here. Is for Naphtali. Oh, okay, thank you. You think they was doing that? Do you think they was doing that? Everybody, and who are you? I'm Judah. Oh, Judah. Oh, y'all going to that New Americas. Yeah, that's 3 boats down. Go down there. Just pure silliness. Pure silliness. But it's telling you right there that the power and authority shall not depart from Judah, from the praise and confession, nor a lawgiver. So we need to understand what all this means. We need to get what all this talking about, what all this saying. Because when we look over here in Genesis chapter 45, we're going to look at 4, and we're going to go down from 4 to 8. And I want to show you something, then I'm going to take you somewhere. And it says, and Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me. Joseph is the 11th born child of Jacob's. He said, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near and he said, guess what, y'all? He said, what? Guess what, y'all? What? What's up, man? He said, I'm Joseph. I'm your brother. What? You Joseph? He said, whom ye sold unto the Egypt. Y'all sold me. Do you understand the chills probably went down them boys' spine? Y'all come here. They sitting there like, what? What do this man of authority want? Hey, I'm Joseph. You Joseph? Whom you sold into Egypt. But he goes on. He says, now for that reason, be not grieved. Don't be angry, nor angry with yourselves. Because some of them probably want to beat up themselves. He said, don't be angry. Don't trip. Not with yourself. He said, that ye sold me hither. That y'all sold me here. It says, for God did send me before you to preserve life. God sent me here. Y'all didn't send me. Y'all ain't getting this credit. Y'all ain't getting this credit. God sent me here. He says, so don't be angry with yourselves. But he goes on more. He says a little bit more here. Because he going to educate them. He says, for these 2 years, for these past 2 years, have a famine been in the land. Y'all know it because y'all been coming up here buying grain. He says, yet, there are 5 years. He got 5 more years we got to deal with this. In which there neither be earing nor harvest. It ain't gonna be nothing gonna be going on anywhere. But he's letting them know y'all ain't getting this credit. Because y'all are trying to turn that lie around and put it on you guys. But he says some more. And he's telling you more here. He says, God has sent me before you to preserve life and prosperity in the earth. He sent me here. And to save your lives by great deliverance. To save y'all crazy butts. And I would have been looking at, now me, I would have been looking at Simeon, and I would have been looking at Levi. Because them two, I know they probably done beat him up so many times, you probably can you probably had to take a bunch of sticks to count it. But he says more. He says more. And watch what he says was so important. He says, so now, it was not that ye sent me hither, but God. You didn't send me here. So don't think y'all gonna get any credit here. Don't go back to your dad and try to turn the lie around and, oh Lord, I'm gonna tell you what, God, daddy, this, no, you ain't gonna turn no lie around. Don't think you did. He said, in fact, on top of that, including he had made me a father to Pharaoh. Now, I'm a father to this man. Meaning whatever I say goes. And he said, and Lord and ruler of his house, including a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. And y'all know that because y'all been bowing down to me. Y'all been bowing down to me because it's telling you right here, when we look at this here, it says the scepter shall not depart from Judah. For it should not depart from the praise and confessions, nor a lawgiver. And a lawgiver is a discerner or a teacher. It's right there in front of you. A discerner of good and evil, or a teacher from between his desires. Until Shiloh come, to who right it is, shall come. And he shall gather of his people be. Now we get it. See, but the problem is Joseph, as I said, he was the 11th child, but he was still, I don't care how we look at it, how we flip it, how we script it out. He's the firstborn according to the Spirit of God. He's the firstborn. This is where people have a problem with. But actually, I'm going to tell you what, better yet, let's look at something. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37. And we're going to look at this at verse 4. And we're going to see some stuff on what they were doing against Joseph. I want you to see this, what they did against Joseph. Because Joseph will say things and it'll piss him off. That's what I want you to see about Joseph. And you'll see this here. And we'll find it buried away over here in Genesis 37, verse 4. It says, when he saw his brethren, when his brethren saw that their father, we just say their father Jacob, their father Israel, loved him more than his brethren, they hated him. So they seen that Jacob was really fond and he favored Joseph. So they hated him. They hated him and could not speak peaceably with him. Anything come out their mouth, it was with attitude. Hey, top of the morning, Judith. What? You talking to me for? Get your butt up on the other side. I know you better not say nothing to Levi. Levi probably pimp slapped him a couple of times. This is what's going on. They couldn't talk peaceably with him. He can't tell them nothing. Nothing. And then what's worse, Joseph dreamed. This is what about. I'm telling you, you can't help but laugh from hurting. 'Cause this is what the issue is. It says Joseph dreamed a dream. Now, to show you how this actually breaks down, when he dreamed he prophesied a dream, a prophecy. So he prophesied a prophecy. That's all that's saying. That's where the problem is. So it says, and Joseph prophesied a prophecy, including he told it to his brother. Why in the world he do that? Why in the world he gonna sit there, he gonna tell his brother? And they hate him already. And you see here, it says, including they hate him yet the more. Hate. They ain't saying dislike. They hate. They hate him more. Boy, I wish I could hook this job, put something in this dude. But they get better. Oh, they get better. And Joseph said unto them, he's still going to talk. He's still going to talk. Don't matter what, he's going to talk. So Joseph said unto them, he said, here, I pray you, this prophecy, which I prophesy. Really? Really? I know they were sitting there, they want to hook his butt up, but he going to tell it. You see, he going to tell it. So it goes on down. It goes on down, and this it's just problem. I can't help it. Y'all just look on, just say, Elder Johnson just crazy. Just leave it at, because I'm going to tell you, because some of this stuff is kind of funny. And you see it here. And it says, and remember, we was binding sheaves in the field. So can't get past Joseph. Okay. Okay, let's look at sheaves. Sheaves is the first right of the field. That's all that is. So, mind you, they know this. You see, I'm trying to sit there like, I could talk to him. Let me talk to y'all, brother. Let me talk to Joseph. But I can't do it because I wasn't there. But you see what's happening. So we see what's going on here. It says, all of us were binding sheaves. We were binding the first right of the field. The first one coming to the knowledge of the truth. Technically what he's saying. That's why I said it's kind of funny. Y'all just hang with me or just pray for me. And it says of the field, and it says, and lo, my sheaf, told you, I need to pause because I don't want to laugh. So I got to pause for a minute. But he tell him, my sheaf rose and also stood upright. Now y'all see why them other 11 wanted to hook him in Levi and Simeon really wanted to do him in. Mine stood upright. I would have sit there and said, so what you saying about me then? Oh no, hold up, Joseph, hold up 1 second. If your sheaf rose upright, what was mine? What was mine? Because I would have had a problem with Joseph. That's just saying. I'm just saying. He said, mine stood upright, including, remember, your sheaves stood round and about and made abstinence of my sheaf. Now, I got to hurt him. Now, I got to hurt him. And you see right here, let's go down to verse 8. And it says, and his brother said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet more for his dreams of his words. That'd be just like my brother that passed. That's my youngest brother. And me and my brother D. I got to throw him back in the mix. My brother D. So that's just like me and Dwayne. And Dwayne say, Michael, yeah. He say, when G come around there, when he get to this point, just whistle. Do what? Just whistle, and I'm going to do it. Now, mind you, me and my brother was crazy about our youngest brother. We kind of spoiled him worse than our mama and them did. But I'm just saying, he telling these things and these in there, Dwayne, he said, Michael, when he get around here, just whistle. Just whistle, just whistle. Talking about he gonna have dominion over us. We got something for him. Just whistle. Okay. And it gets better. And he dreamed yet another dream. He gonna prophesy a whole nother prophecy. I'm telling you, he told his brother. He keep going to them. But he has to. And he told him, and he had a dream to dream more. And remember, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made abstinence to me. Wait a minute. Dwayne be sitting there, Michael, when he get ready to go to bed, whistle. Just whistle. Just whistle. We gonna take care. We gonna give him a soap whooping. He talking about now our mama and daddy gonna bow down to him, including us. This is Joseph doing this, but it gets better. And he told his father and his brother, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What? What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee and to the earth? Boy, I need to do something to you. But he got more. He tells him this. See, Jacob knew what was going down though. So it says, and his brother envied him, but his father observed his sayings. You see, it's a difference there. His father knows something was going on. He observed him. His brother and them hated him. See, and observed meaning he practiced them. He observed them. Let me show you this before we go on. I want to just show you what's going on in Genesis 28, and you'll see this. 28, and we'll pick this up at verse 20, just to get a better understanding there. And you'll see it here in verse 20. It says, and Jacob vowed a vow, saying, providing God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. Then shall the Spirit of God be my guide. He's saying this right out of his own mouth. And he knew something was up with this kid. He knew something was up with his kid. So let's go back over here and we're going to see something. Going back over here to Exodus chapter 4, we're going to go down to verse 5 and start going down. It says, that I may believe the Spirit of God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, have appeared unto thee. So you see there in verse 6, he making some stuff clear. So now he's still building his faith on him. He still got to build his faith. He still try to build his faith on him. So the Spirit of God said furthermore unto him, put thy hand in thy bosom. And put thy hand, and he put his hand in his bosom. And when he took it out, remember his hand was leprous as snow. His hand was leprous. So it's letting you know his hand was white as snow. This is what we got to understand here. The faith building. The faith building. Verse 7, it tells us a little bit more. It says, and he said, put thy hand in thy bosom again. And he put his hand in his bosom again, and he plucked it out. And remember, he turned again to of the flesh. So it turned back from which it was. And he put it back to which it was. But the thing we have to remember, he's building in faith based on just telling him what he need to do. Commanding him to do things. Nothing more, nothing less. But he had to pull him away from that dollar. Because faith seen is not hope. And he put his hand back in there just on hope. He put it in there and it changed back. And it did. And it should come to pass if they will not obey thee, because that's the key. If they will not obey thee, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken unto the voice of the first sign. So if they're not going to listen to the voice of the first sign, that they believe the voice of the latter sign, the voice, not giving you $1, the voice of the latter sign. And it goes on more. Verse 9. It should come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take the water. We know what water is. Gonna take this knowledge. If they don't listen, you're gonna take this knowledge of the river, of this nation of people, and pour it upon the dry land. You're going to waste it and uncover it upon the land. You're going to uncover them. Why you? Well, we'll deal with that later. We're going to deal with that some in the back. We're going to deal with some of that in the back. You're going to waste it there, though. It says this is what's going to happen. You're going to pour this upon the river, and it should become blood upon the dry land. So as I said, my brothers and sisters, as I said to each and every person, everybody that can hear what I'm talking about, understand clearly what I'm talking about clearly, and understand this and make sure you clearly get this. Because as I said, I'm going to make sure everybody gets some more understanding of this in the back. And the same thing, if you're unable to come in the back, we still going to I'm going to end up moving it over to the front to where they can still see it. But I'm just going in the back because I don't want to take up the time that we need to do to make sure it's available to you. So the same thing is what we're doing here. You'll sit there and see here, because we're gonna figure out what a lot of this is going on. These blood batteries. We have to understand how this works, but we have to build our faith and understand more so what is going on between us and them, going on with us and them. See, people will sit there and talk about the Sabbath, but to justify other things because of the blood or the batteries. The same, smartphones and electric battery for cars and things like that. Your Apple, Samsung will always supply the need. The glamorous display of this art of technology. Millions of people today enjoy the technologies that is going out today, and not knowing what it takes to have them. Not knowing what it takes to create them. Not knowing the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the lives that is lost to produce your lap of luxury is someone else's sense of security and poverty. And I want you to think about this 6-year-old child. I want you to think about him as it goes through here. Because the 6-year-old child, as I said, he should have had a G.I. Joe in his hand. But he was equipped with a shovel. And these things happen. And the same thing that goes on here is lets us know, it says the Egyptian taskmasters, now the kings over Egypt, knew not Joseph, but they knew what the manipulation to get you. And that's what we're going to dig into. The possessions, the money, the gold, the silvers. These things we're going to see. And we're going to be looking at each one of these. People marry for money. Kings and queens that knew not God, who had their children working. These things happen. And the same thing, you'll see how these parents and mismanagement and everything we're going to go into. So we got to go into this rabbit hole. We got to look at this, because most people don't know that some of these companies profit globally more than $125 billion off of children. That's a drop in the bucket on what people doing in America. Because the first thing we do, we throw at everybody else and never look at ourselves. We'll sit there and pour more money into our children to try to make it as an athlete or something else, to where we can sit back and glean from that. So with that, I want that everybody understand what bloodbathers was all about. And the same as I say, you can look in the down in the description. You can see the Zoom. It says a knowledge building session. It's a link down there. And you can come in the back, and mainly this is what we're going to be dealing with on here. So you see it, you click on it. It's not to come back there to where you trying to do a whole lot of different things. It's back there to where we're going to learn, because once we finish that, most of that I will be putting up to where we can show you how you can build from that. So if you're able to join us, you're more than welcome. You'll see the link there. And we're going to break from here. And the same thing is, actually the same thing like I told people next week on this coming Monday, as I was telling people already before, on this coming Monday, we will be doing a teaching on this Jack Evans guy. The virus, he's a Dr. Virus, a killer of many. He has pushed the false doctrine for many years. And we will be going into the framework and how they do everything and understand it greatly on how this is doing for many people. So hopefully you'll be able to join us with that one as we go through. So with that, we get ready to go in the back, going over here in the Zoom, and we're going to deal with this on a more different level. So until then, I say to each and every person, until next time, I say to each and every one, shalom.
I need your love, but I can't be the only one. Can't be